morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Wednesday, October 8th, 2025. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Happy hump day, everyone. Here's a look at the ES in the daily time frame. But before we get to that, I did want to remind you that we are hosting the PivotBoss Masters live training sessions next week. The live training schedule here will introduce our new PivotBoss Thrust Reversal Pro signal, which is an improvement to our current thrust reversal signal, which is our most powerful signal right now for the current market. We're going to be trading live with it next week, and again, anyone who is a PivotBoss Masters member gets this training absolutely free and included with your membership. If you want to join PivotBoss Masters, go to pivotbossmasters.com/profits. You can get instant access to a wealth of training content with core training, proprietary training. All the indicators and tools are at your disposal. All future indicators and tools and training is yours, absolutely included, and there's a 100% money back guarantee as well. So you can try this risk-free for 30 days. So again, if you want access, you can go to pivotbossmasters.com/profits to take advantage of next week's training and the plethora of training that is already available on demand at the website. All right, let's take a look here at the ES here in the daily time frame. Right now, a narrow range over the last 4 days. A narrow range heading into today's session makes it a 5-day compression. Still very bullish overall. Nice buildup of energy here. Is it a potential pullback that's likely to occur out of this range? That's something that we've seen multiple times here recently after strength, where we've seen a move up, a narrow 4 or 5 day range, and then a pullback. A move up, narrow range pullback, move up, narrow range pullback. We've seen that pattern kind of persist during this phase of the market structure. Again, compression developing here. Perhaps we do get a pullback, and if so, that could be another opportunity to buy the dip for a continuation higher until this market really fails at major market structure, or until we get that significant rejection high. Again, this market right now awaiting the FOMC meeting minutes later on today, 2:00 p.m. Central, which is a different time than normal. We have Fed Chair Powell speaking prior to the RTH Open Thursday morning. That's going to be very important as well. So today could be a lot of back and forth trading range action early on. Look to fade the edges, keep targets close, and again, that 5-day range is going to be very important at the extreme. So we could be looking at some range-bound price action, fades back and forth in both directions until we get resolution on the FOMC meeting minutes later on this afternoon. All right, looking at the NQ, similar price action here, very compressed price action, 31% of ADR. Look at that range, super tiny. It's also within that 5-day compression as well, also hanging out near or at the quarterly highs here. Still a very bullish trend, but again, like we mentioned before, after a move up and we stall for several days here, do we get a pullback up ahead? Does that mean we get a short-term rotation down for another buy of the dip? Very similar to the ES here. Again, until proven otherwise, this market continues to be a buying opportunity, but at some point we may see a failure of market structure that could bring about a broader pullback or a broader sell-off. But until then, this thing remains quite strong. All right, looking at crude oil. Right now, crude oil having a day to the upside, 1.7% higher. We talked about the potential here for an expanding range to develop. The previous couple of sessions here, we've seen price action trade above the previous quarter's low. The previous session, really good rejection of the low and a nice push back up, and the thought for today was we could have quite the day. Today could be a day that gets us beyond 63s. The early idea was for any pullback could be a checkmark continuation opportunity higher. This thing has not had any pullback in the overnight trade. It's just been open and go, and overall today's range likely to be in the 1.5 zone, 1 to 1.5 zone. That's how narrow this range has been overall. But again, when we've gotten in these short-term bursts to the upside, it's been very fruitful in the near term. It just hasn't lasted long. So while this could release more energy over the next several days to the upside, perhaps as high as 67s, a move of that magnitude or of any magnitude right now could be a tremendous selling opportunity again as we enter that bearish seasonal cycle for crude oil. So short-term strength right now, followed by perhaps medium-term selling pressure down the road. All right, looking at gold futures. This one's up 1.2% with a massive continuation to the upside. Again, last Friday in our trading room, we told our traders here that the next 2 to 3 days could be huge and will get us through that 4,000 level. Monday, Tuesday, now Wednesday with a massive stretch. Very similar to what we talked about last week here and the week before there. So big time compression leading to expansion yet again. The flow through 3,500 into 40.50 now is huge. It's very, very quick. But we could see more upside until proven otherwise. As I mentioned before, the compression of 5 months to only release for 4 or 5 weeks is just, the relationship just doesn't compute there. Instead, you would have more of a markup phase after all of that pent up time energy, not just from range energy. We've already seen the range extension, but we still have time extension as well that could continue to play out. Once we do get this 3-day move here, we may see a little bit of a hold pattern over the next several days and then a continuation up ahead. But right now, very, very strong in gold. Looking at the YM has had quite the action here lately. It's had really great intraday pivot extremes on a day-to-day basis. Really great 60-minute chart movement. The recent price action here has been mostly within range over this 4-day period. This 4-day range is not a narrow 4-day range. It's kind of a wide-ranging 4-day range with a lot of great pivot extremes. Inside day right now, just 39% of ADR, but still highly bullish directionally. But like we've mentioned with the others, after a push up and a hold, do we now see another rotation down before the next buy the dip opportunity occurs? This could go either way, but when you look at the rejection that occurred back last Friday, that could be seen as a mild intraday day one rejection. It's a higher high. The very next day we had a huge impulse sell-off, which gave us that intraday key range. And then yesterday we had a big sell-off from the highs, a big-time thrust reversal back down for another impulse move. So the last 3 significant moves have been down, starting with that move Friday. Is that an indication that we could be continuing down until we find an equal and opposite rejection? So again, that could just be very short-term as this market remains highly bullish overall, and any pullback still remains a buying opportunity even if we do get some weakness, until we see some big-time failure of market structure. For example, failing through 46K would open up the 45, but we could drop as deep as 46K and still be a buy to new highs. That's how strong this market remains. All right, looking at Bitcoin, up 0.8% right now. This one is concerning. The way it sold off through 125K yesterday, we spent a lot of time at this one in our trading room, and again, the way that one responded there was highly bearish. Today was going to tell us a lot, and at the moment we've seen a little bit of a bounce back to the previous session's midpoint. Is this going to be an inverted sell-off day here? Are we selling off away from the 125K level? Is this a developing, expanding range on the top end yet again? Which has been the case, because if so, then we easily get a return to 115, and then do we get a full-on return even lower down this expanding range? So this edge, very important. 125 a key level. How we respond away from this key level will be very important in the short term. The other thing is a big high range move to the upside being met with, again, another reaction at the extreme, which keeps us in the larger trading range, at least for now. Looking at ETH, this one right here showing an equal and reaction at the extreme yet again, like Bitcoin. This also was a very extreme reaction at the 4,800 level. It smoked through 47 and 4,600, and here we are trading 4,500 yet again off the upper edge. Does that open up a return into the recent lows of 3,800 and perhaps a little bit below before perhaps bouncing back? So again, yesterday's reactions in both of those, something to watch as we head throughout the week. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out heading into the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.